So yeah, welcome, and let's get started then. So we've got the sketch already down, it's ready to go, it's drawn in, it's sketched, and you can take a screen grab if you want to. My first thing to do is use water, just water, and I want to wet the entire page. Something sticky in that water, I think it's a bit of masking fluid. What I want to do is basically just get the water there and just completely wet the entire page. Okay, just a nice simple thing to do. So I'm using a big brush, this one's a size 20 brush, and I'm wetting the entire thing. It really is as simple as that. A couple of coats of water is what's normal. This is my own branded paper. This is Matthew Palmer paper, beautiful stuff. You can buy it in blocks on watercolour.tv, which is my website. So that's got plenty of water on. And then I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to use a size 10 brush. I'm going to paint in a bit of a background. So what I want to do is I want to use some natural blue. So this is natural blue. All the colours I'm using are my own colours. I'll kind of go through the materials as I work. I'm using a size 10 or a medium super point brush. And the first thing I want to do is basically lay down a very simple blue. Flat to the paper, let the paint spread. So I'm literally rocking the brush from side to side. You can see the sort of twist as we go through. So imagine that's a bit of sky at the back, that kind of thing. We want to do a vignette, which would be quite nice. Clean the brush really well. Let's get a little bit closer in at that point because we can do that. I have, remember, got this little bit of masking tape under the head of the board to get a slope as well. That's quite it's quite useful to have. I'm just going to chop in a little bit of green. This is natural green light. Natural green light. Don't want too much. A little bit of a green colour there coming through. Just going to drop in a bit of colour at the back. So I'm letting the paint spread. I'm letting the light green mix with the blue. Of course, it's going to go dark. So imagine this is the outer focus foliage. We'll bring that right down towards the base here. Just helps to give a nice surround to this, you know. Let your paint just become part of the picture. Let it spread. Let it be part of what's there. Let it just do its own thing, basically. It'll all come out in wash. I want to go a bit thicker with that colour, so I'm actually going to use natural green, which is a darker green. So that's a darker green. So that's just called natural green. Again, you can play around with your own variations of colours if you want to here. A little bit of a tap on tissue. And I just want to get a little bit of grassy foreground, a few little bits at the back, little twists. Tapping the brush on tissue as I go through here as well. So this is all the incidental background stuff. Just let the paint just become part of it. Beautiful. Nice. So once that's gone in, we can pretty much just leave that to do its thing. That is literally just the background. What I will do is I will just bring in a touch of shadow into this. I think that's quite important to bring a little bit of shadow in. I always think it is. So just going to introduce a little bit. And that's natural grey. So natural grey, which is a colour made from primary colours. Again, these are all my colours. They're all available on the website here. So if you like any of the colours, do check them out. And then again, just going to bring in a bit of shadow. Perfect. I'm actually going to start to bring some of this into the actual elephant as well. I don't want a huge amount at the back. It's just nice to give a base and a bit of a shadow. So I want to start to work on the elephant at this point. I don't mind the fact that the paper is still wet. That's kind of does help in a way, but I want to bring in some of the colours at this point. So I'm just going to actually introduce, we've got the grey, but here, these two colours that you can see loitering on the edge of the palette, right in the corner, these two just here, these are the skin tones, part of my natural range. All the colours are designed to replicate nature. These two colours here are skin tone light and skin tone dark. We can use both of those on this elephant because they're not just all grey, they've got some lovely colours in them. So that's skin tone light, and then here we've got skin tone dark, and then over here we've got natural grey, but what I want to do with the grey is I want to mix some of the light skin tone with it. So I'm using my own paint. You can make your own versions. I mean, you could do this with primary colours. And the books don't use these colours. The books use primary colours, off the shelf standard primary colours. So you've got that option of kind of playing around with the colour. So don't worry about what colours you see. All of my projects, all the books, all the paintings can all be done with very simple primary colours. So here you can see blue, red and yellow. So as long as you've got some blue, red and yellow and some white paint, you're good to go. You're good to go. It's just convenient having the ready-made paints. But look how that grey's got a little bit less black, if we can say that. So it's got that slight variation. Now with a size 10, or in this particular case a Super Point medium brush, we can bring some colours into the elephant, and we'll start off with the light skin tone. Okay, so here we are. So now this is going to go in quite loosely. Now yes, elephants are, you know, we think of them to be grey, but they've got that little bit of colour with them, which is quite nice. So that's quite important to bring a wee bit of colour into it. I always think that, you know, don't not add colour, because they can look a little bit lost if you're not careful. So I always think a little bit of colour is a good idea. So that's light skin tone. Bring it down. Let's put the palette on the screen in the top corner so you can see what colours I'm dunking in. So we've got the skin tone there. I'll just bring that round. It's just a nice warm colour. I also think a bit of that colour, that light skin tone, would work quite nice in the ground as well, just to give a little bit of interest. Just down here. I love painting animals, and I've wrote 2 books on it now, and really enjoyed both of them, to be honest. They've both been quite enjoyable things to do. So a little bit of warmth here just kind of helps to lift it up. Now, that was using the light skin. I'm going to go into the dark skin tone here, which is, you know, it speaks for itself really. It's just a darker colour. Notice every time I do this, I give it a little tap on tissue, which is great. So I'll bring that in, and very loosely following the shape of the elephant. Now all that's going to fade into the mist. We're just doing a close-up here. We're just sort of going for the portrait. Look how that dark skin colour, what I'm adding, is mixing with the background colours. That's lovely. That's what you want it to do. So it's becoming part of what's actually there. So it's going grey. So already we're starting to get those grey tones because it's mixing on the paper. Watercolour does that wonderfully. So really, really important thing to do, that, without a doubt. I'd always say that. Brilliant. So just follow the shape as much as you can. So the paper is still a little bit damp, and that's because we're using good quality paper. You know, I've got to say that makes all the difference. Good quality paper, it's the one thing to get right. You know, have nice paper and you're pretty much good to go. You're pretty much good to go. Now, what we'll do here is we'll take that grey, that sort of milky grey, and it went a bit milky because we used the skin tone. We used the skin tone. We did. So, let's come back over to this. Tap it on there, and we can start to get a bit darker. We'll get a little bit closer in, I think. The paper's still a little bit damp, but that's okay. So we're starting to pick out some shape here at this point. So this is all going to mix on the page, don't worry about it. It'll all come out in the wash. What's important is this left side fades into the mist. Very important little job to do that. I'll turn the board here and just sort of follow some of the shapes here. So I want all that to disappear off. And then we'll bring it over. Come down here. So I'm going to keep picking up that grey, tapping it on tissue. Look how the paint's spreading on its own. That's what I want it to do. I want it to do its own job. Keep rotating the board. The paper's still damp. It's going to be damp for a while. But you see that the colour is more like what we want, right? Down the trunk, of course. Around the cheek. And then down that leg. Now, we're not getting any hard lines at the minute, but they will come. The hard lines will happen. They will happen. But notice again, every time I tap the brush into the into the colour. I'm also tapping it on the tissue. So here we go. So again, the colours are starting to happen. This will change as it starts to dry. Now at this point, I quite like these warm colours. I want to kind of leave some of those in there. But at this point, I want to sort of soften it all in. And to do that, I clean the brush and the tissue. And then I squeeze it through tissue. Now that brush can be squashed flat. It's a size 10 brush. And it allows me to do a few things. It allows me to sort of make sure that all this fades off into the mist. It's important to get that to fade away, because that's where the picture is going to come into focus. It allows me to blend away any bits I don't particularly want. It also allows me to drag a few highlights in, because if the brush is flat, you can see there, the brush is kind of flat. I can lay it down and I can sweep it down these edges. This only happens while the paper is a bit damp, you see. So we can do this. Here's the quiz question: is this an African or Indian elephant? You tell me in the comments. Look how I'm sort of manipulating the colour. Beautiful. Again, another reason to get good paper. This is putting shape into it. This is starting to, it's literally lifting off colour. It's literally bringing out the colour. So it's a lovely thing to do. Beautiful. Nice. Now, that is quite a good stage to be at with that picture. It's all starting to do its thing. There's no clarity there at the minute. There's no clarity. So to bring that in, we need to give it a try. Now over here, and we'll reach over here, still there. I've got a heat gun, a hairdryer, heat gun, whatever you call it. And this is going to dry the picture. Now it is like watching paint dry. There's no two ways about it. You don't want to watch paint dry. What I will mention though is this painting of the elephant that you can see behind me. Let me pull it over. It'll come crashing down. Let's put this on the camera here. So this is, you can see the detail in there. This is actually from the new book. This is from the Animals in Watercolour book. Okay. Now, if you want to have a good detailed look at the book while I'm drying this picture off, then is that going to stay there? What I want to do is I want to dry this off. Now, you're welcome to watch paint dry, or you could actually have like a 30-40 second little peek, little insight into the contents of the book, and more importantly, again, give you those details, how you can get 25% off all of my books through Search Press. Let me pop this little video on the screen, folks. It'll run for about a minute or so while I dry the picture off. So don't go anywhere, because remember, we're going to pick a winner at the end. You can win this picture and you can win a copy of the book. You need to put the comment in the live video. This is just for people watching live on the 22nd of Jan, obviously. Check this out. Watercolour Animals for the Absolute Beginner. Matthew Palmer. Search Press, have been publishing books for over 50 years. Have a quick flick through together, shall we? So the first half of the book is all the little essential things that you need for your watercolour painting. Look, how to sketch animals. Love the section on sketching animals in there. Break them down into shapes. Colour mixing is in there as well. How to control the amount of water that you use in your paint as well. Working with primary colours. It's beautiful. Really, really pleased with this. The essential materials needed. Then as we move on in the book, it's got a step-by-step project on painting an elephant that goes through not only the sketch but takes you through all the essential techniques that you need for your painting to produce this wonderful painting of this elephant, from everything down to the highlights right the way through. That's the finished result there, so you can see what a nice job it is. Then it moves into the middle. Now these are the big parts, these are the projects. This is where it gets that little bit more exciting, you know, because what we've got here is fold out tracings of each project. For example, here is the panda. These fold out so you can actually trace them on a large sheet of watercolour paper. These are A3 in size. Sea turtle there. The snow leopard is in there. So there's actually 9, 10, 11 projects with tracings as well. Look at that beautiful cheetah there. Love it. It seems such a long time ago that I painted these down at the studios at Sage Press. We've got penguins to enjoy. These are the mini projects. You've got the goldfinch to enjoy. You've got the leaping dolphins, beautiful leaping dolphins there. Look at that, love it. And then of course you've got the parrot. This is where you start to get into the more adventurous projects. I have to do all the feather detail. Look at that beautiful parrot there. This is the cheetah here. Probably my favourite one. I love painting the cheetah portrait. Every step detailed in beautiful Search Press quality. The sea turtle here, always going to be a crowd favourite. Love the sea turtle there. And then towards the back of the book, we've got the panda eating the bamboo. Look at that. Beautiful, that. And then there's the polar bear. It's a very healthy book for $12.99. There's the polar bear walking in the snow. And then right at the back of the book, we have this, the mother and baby giraffe. So a very thick 160-page book, and I'd love you to pick up a copy. We're going to pick out some of the shapes. I want to mix more of the grey, so we're going to go for grey and the light skin tone again. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use this colour here to pick out the elephant, make it look a bit crisper. Him, he or she, I don't know, you can tell me. I'm going to bring it into detail now, just on the edges. Come down the trunk here. We're going to basically go around it, rotating the board to get more comfortable if we need to. I'm going to go dark with shadows a bit later on. We've got a nice base coat, being careful to paint around the tusk. There we go. And then we shall continue. Because I'm using natural grey, I know the colour's going to hold up quite well. I don't need to worry about the drying time. Still using a size 10 brush. What I want to do here is start to put some shadows in with the same colour. Start to go around the ear. And we'll bring it in beautifully. And literally completely go around the edge is what I'm interested in doing. Just want to pop a little one here as well. Okay, now at that point I'm going to clean the brush really well. Give it a couple of taps on tissue. Size 10 brush is what I'm using. Just going to use water just to give it a good old soften. And literally just blend it all together. Scrub the paint in. It'll wash in dead easy for a few reasons. Because it's not really a staining colour, but the paper I'm using is a lovely quality paper. And I'm just encouraging the paint to mix in, because what I'm interested in here is making this thing stand out against the background. Okay, so you can see how we're starting to get a bit of structure even at this early stage. A couple of taps on the tissue every so often. Refresh the brush in the water. And then we'll go in. Can't go wrong with this, can you? Well, as soon as you blend these bits away, that's when you start to see things starting to snap into place, you see. I think animals come with fear, don't they? You know, I think a lot of people have a fear of painting and drawing animals. Well, not only does the book in question, Watercolour Animals for the Absolute Beginner, go into detail on how to paint, but also draw as well. There's lots of tips and tricks for sketching animals in there, which is brilliant. And it is for beginners. But if you look at the paintings from the book, they're stunning. They're stunning. Loads of really cool projects to work on. And it's something different. If you're used to doing your landscapes and your seascapes, it's something very different. But look how that's starting to pull through. A few more shadows are going to come in here. Back to the palette here. Again, we've got this milky grey, which is a mixture of natural grey and skin tone light. Just a bit of a tap on tissue. As well as giving the picture away and giving away a copy of the book, I think I should give away this. A used professional artist piece of kitchen paper. Can't go wrong, can you? You can smell the excitement, can't you? Let's zoom in a bit closer here. Start to pick out a few more little bits and pieces. I want to go a little bit darker just down here. And that sort of slightly tapers up. Again, I could work a bit more individually here. But I'm using the same colour. We shall be going darker and darker and darker soon, but hopefully you can see how this is starting to get a little bit of clarity coming through at this point. So it's now time to go a little bit darker. I want to introduce more grey. So I'm making the colour quite deep at this point. So that is natural grey, what I've just used there. So a lovely, rich, powerful, strong grey. You can mix the grey from primary colours. People often ask me, can you mix it any other way? Well, yes, you can. You can mix it from primary colours if you want to as well. So at this point, we're going to go darker, much darker. And I've got a size 6 brush. A size 6 brush, which is a small brush. Okie dokie. So let's go dark under here. Not being afraid of darkness is the secret, really. It'll all come out in wash, won't it? The shadows are always so important, aren't they? Let's get underneath that ear a little bit. What I want to do is I'm just going to give the board a tilt so the light doesn't reflect from the studio lights against the wet paint. Got a lovely shadow coming down here. It's amazing how quick these things come together once you start to put shadows in. But it also amazes me how long this paper stays wet for. It stays wet for ages. Put the dark, separate those two legs. Come dark around there. Dark at the base of the trunk. Let's go in. And start to blend it out. Beautiful. Now I'm working at sort of speed here. I'm working at sort of watercolour demonstration speed because that's what we're doing, aren't we, after all? Let's start to darken around the eye a little bit now. We'll get the eye in later. Elephants always look a bit sad, don't they? Well, this one does. Why is that? Get a nice shadow there. Every time I blend it in, I clean the brush and give it a little tap on tissue. The paper I'm using, good question. The paper is, it's my own brand. It's the Matthew Palmer watercolour blocks, which are available on my website at watercolour.tv. So all the products you can pick up from the website, should you want to, that is. A few little shadows here and there. I'm just sort of picking out the key areas at this point, and then just using a damp brush to blend them in. There's quite a few of them, as you can imagine. A little bit of a darker edge around there. And you'll notice that you'll start to get a little bit of texture coming through as well, which is quite nice. See a little bit of texture? Let that happen. That's, for me, that's kind of part of what you want it to be. Let that be a thing. Beautiful. Now I need to give this another quick dry, and I will sort of show you how I'm drying it off actually at this point. So I'm going to be using heat gun or the hairdryer. Perfect. It's all nice and dry. Just purely number 6 brush and just a nice strong natural grey to bring some detail in. So this picture is waiting for detail, it's waiting for shadows. Let's get close into the tusks and various things at this point. So brush I'm using, size 6, which is called a Matthew Palmer Super Point Small. And we're going to go in and drop some shadows into this thing. Being quite definite with the shadows at this point. Not being afraid of the dark, really. Get quite a few of these in. Then we'll blend them all in a minute. Come straight down the leg there. So I'm picking out all the real strong shadows at this stage. Sort of doubling up on what you've already done in a way. And just use a bit of water. To soften in. Rotate your board, get to nice different directions. Looking forward to getting some texture on it, and we're starting to get that texture already. You can see it happening. Let's come down the back of the head here. Every little shadow really does help when you paint something like this. You can see the structure starting to appear. We've not got any detailing yet, but we're getting towards that stage slowly. Let's get close into the eye. We'll start to go for the eye. Very thick, natural grey for the eye. Very definite grey. Don't be afraid to be very dark. And Michelle, we're going to put some highlights on right at the end here. Very important to get some highlights in. So a nice pointy brush is what I'm interested in. Very tiny eyes do elephants have. You can leave the little highlight there, but I always think it's easy just to block it in and then use white paint later on. And we start to put some wrinkles on. So we're starting to add some of the facial detail, the creases, the folds, the detail. Little little bits of creases, little bits of dry brush, that kind of thing. I think this is always the most enjoyable part of painting elephants, getting all the little bits of detail, all the little creases and lines. And literally, I was using natural grey and a pointy brush. Simple as that, really. But I'm sort of tapping it off on tissue. As the actress said, I'll stop. And you can just bring it in. Keep your paint nice and fresh. Moist. Is it me or is it moist? If you flick with the tip of the brush, you get those lovely folds and creases. If you scuff with the side of the brush, you get that texture. And a bit of both would go wonders in this picture. It really would. Let's just come back a click here. You can see it starting to do its thing, can't you? You get them lovely like creases coming over the trunk. It's almost like a silver birch tree in a weird way. They gradually get closer together. As you get down towards the tip. So detail is being added with a dry brush. This elephant's like me in his 40s because he's got wrinkles on his forehead. So. Is that right? And some crow's feet. And bingo wings as well. Bingo wings. It's all happening. Poor geezer. I bet his ears are burning. It's always in the detail. Making the focal point the head, remember, that's what we're trying to do here. Keep that lovely focus coming in. Beautiful. I love doing this sort of work. It's got a bit of character in this thing, isn't it? It's coming, taking a bit of shape. Taking a bit of shape. Now it's all to do with the paper, so the paper is a knot surface, okay, which basically means it's not rough and not smooth if you're keeping it simple, and that's what makes the paper work so well. So a nice dry brush. Nora Batty's wrinkles. Wrinkles in the stockings, yeah? Wait till we get some highlights in at the end, stick with us. Now on my YouTube channel, folks, just do a search for Matthew Palmer on YouTube and you'll find it. It's full of painting. There's over 200 painting tutorials on there and growing. In fact, some of you might be watching this on the YouTube channel because after I've done the live stream, I want to upload this to YouTube. You'll find quite a lot of animals. If animals are the thing that floats your boat. Notice I'm squashing the bristles a little bit, because that's a great way of doing texture. Come down this edge a little bit here. It's really coming together nice, isn't it? I love it, I love it. Now listen, I've got a magic brush. Oh yes, I've got a magic brush. You kept that quiet, I know. Saving it for today. Got a magic brush and it's over here and it's called Matthew Palmer tree and texture brush small, which is perfect for putting texture on. We're going to use that brush, tap it on some tissue so we can capture a little bit of that. That is beautiful texture, and I want to use that to put a few wrinkles in the elephant. I mean, it is really coming together quite nice. I'm really pleased with it. But we can use this to bring in them little extra bits of added texture. So like around in fact, if we switch to this camera, you might actually see it a little bit better as I put it on. So I'm actually using the side of the brush, and I'm actually scratching. It's perfect for this. You can see the brush is it's got like a nice sort of rough edge to it. And it's a special brush that I designed. It was the original brush that I designed. I mean, every other artist has copied this brush now, but this was the original one from the late 90s that I designed. And it's lovely for adding texture. It really is. It's great for doing texture. And it's a good way to, any blank areas, you can just brush it over. It works lovely on animals. Nice. Taking a bit of shape, yeah? Love it. Now, at this particular stage in the picture, I just want to add a couple of the final little creases and little wrinkles using a pointy brush again. I'm using this super point brush here, which is really good. And there's just a few extra little wrinkles I want to add here and there, just to give a little bit of an extra bit of definition. I just want to pull a few from this side here. Get a few more wrinkles in the forehead. There we go. Looking nice. We're going to put highlights in, which makes such a difference, an absolute massive difference to this. I'm just going to come back to this green here that I mixed at the beginning. This was the natural green. And I just want to put a little bit of grass at the bottom. A couple of taps on tissue. Listen, don't forget to comment, because I want to have a look through the comments and pick a winner at the end. And don't forget to like the video. Do like, and it's very important. And also, if you're watching this on Search Press's Facebook, make sure you follow me, Matthew Palmer Artist, and vice versa. Works together, right? We've also got Matthew Palmer's watercolour group, which is lovely as well. And just before we put the finishing touches, do stick around. Let me tell you about what's coming up this weekend. So it's currently the 22nd of Jan 2025. Well, this weekend, we've got a workshop, a seascape workshop. We're doing this. Now, this is paint a wild Atlantic seascape with crashing waves and sailing boat. Sunday the 26th. Do book onto this. It's lovely because it's something you'll really enjoy. It's a virtual workshop where you paint along with me. We don't rush like we're doing today. It's all very steady, nice and slow. So do make sure you book into that, please. Taking place on Sunday the 26th. You can book it by jumping on the website, or the W's, watercolour.tv. And right at the top of the screen is a big flashy button with a countdown, broadcast countdown. In 3 days and 21 hours, that's when the workshop's taking place. Click the big button, that takes you to the page where the upcoming workshop will be. And there's all the information. It's going to be a lovely thing to do, folks. All you need is basic primary colours, all for £12. Starts at 12 p.m. UK time this Sunday. And it's always important for me to say with these that you can watch it live or at any time. You do not have to be there live. About half of the people tend to be there live on these. So it's kind of, you can drop in and do it at your leisure kind of thing. So do make sure you join me for that. Let's get a few little grasses and things coming up here just to give this a bit of a base, a footing. Just to give it some, just using a bit of natural green with this nice small brush and just giving it a little bit of texture. And then we're going to put some highlights in. Put some lovely highlights into this thing, because that's going to make such a difference putting a few highlights in. It always does. So do stick around for that. Like watching paint dry, but hopefully not too Boring. What else are you going to watch on a Wednesday lunchtime? Loose Women. Oh, yes. Bargain Hunt. Bargain Hunt. Is Bargain Hunt still on? Bargain Hunt. If you're not from the UK, just Google it. Don't Google Loose Women, though, because you might get in trouble. You need to be careful with that. It's a chat show. A Great British chat show. Not as I watch Loose Women, of course. Antiques Road Trip. What time's deal on? No deal on. Let's get a bit of texture. So I'm doing it as a vignette, obviously. Just to give it a bit of texture. I think it's just nice just to add a little bit down here. Remember, someone's going to win this picture. You lucky people. Back to this. What we've got here is a bit of paper. Obvious. What we're going to do is put some Matthew Palmer white on there. Beautiful. Bit of white. All white. Bit of white. All white. I'm going to put some highlights in. Always makes such a difference putting highlights in. Let's go for this. So, a little bit of water. There's a bit of white on the brush. Now, I am rotating the brush through my fingers as I drag it through. So a nice pointy brush there. And then what I'm going to do here is drop some nice highlights into this. We'll start off with the obvious, which is the little highlight in the eye. And a little ring around the eye. Now if we zoom in really close, you can see that, can't you? That's given such a difference. Just going to drop in a few little highlights just here and there. Just using a bit of white. You could use gouache acrylic for this. I'm using my own branded watercolour. Just going to rotate the board a touch. Put some white on the tusk here. And pick that out as white. And then just every now and again with white paint, and you'll see what a difference it'll make to it, mainly focusing around the head. I'm just going to bring in a few little bits of highlights just to give it a little bit of presence. So just a few little wrinkles and creases and various things on the edge of the ear. Just makes it all stand up a little bit, you know, just where it's catching a bit of light, a few little highlights here and there. It does make quite a difference. A few little highlights up here just to give a bit of a, just down the edge of that leg, you know. Very much quite incidental this, but I always think it makes such a difference. It's that little bit of spit and polish. The animal book goes into detail about white paint. There's a big chapter on it, so do make sure that you sort of get yourself some nice quality white paint, because it does change things quite a lot, you know. Just going to put a few little creases around here. Get some over this side as well. Surprises me just how much of a difference. Now it's worth taking note, folks, if you do want to if you want to stand the chance of winning this picture and a copy of the book, they will get sent separately. You need to be prepared to drop me a message, a private message on Facebook, so we can get your details. So I need to say that to you now. So if you want to take part in the competition, again, leave a comment. I'm literally going to scroll through all the comments. I've got it here in front of me at the end, for the people on Search Press and the people on my own Facebook page, and I want to pick a winner. So if you want to do that, you need to be bearing in mind that you need to private message me through Facebook, so we can get your address, basically, because we can't just guess where you live. It'd be pretty good if we could. So if you don't want to take part in the competition, just put not interested in competition. Now's the time. If you don't want to share your address and your email address, put not interested in competition. You can do that now. And of course, this is just for the people watching live. If you're watching this in the future, let me know what the future's like. But let me know next Saturday's lottery numbers. But if you're watching it after the 22nd of Jan at 1 PM, then obviously you can't really take part in it. A few last bits of highlights then, folks, before we pick that winner. Now, this is quite fast, as I can see a few people commenting about. That's because it's a demo. Now, if you want to be nice and steady, and you want to work with me nice and steady, that's where you want to be doing one of those virtual workshops, because you have so much time. This is very much a watercolor demo. This is to give you a flavour. If I get a really dry brush, and I can put some texture coming down the trunk in the white paint there. Beautiful. Beautiful that. So that's a lovely little painting of a elephant. We'll not say what kind, because I don't know. We weren't sure, were we? I want to sign it. Find a pen. What should we sign it? Should we sign it Vincent van Gogh? Be worth millions. Or should we sign it Matthew Palmer? Devalue it. Devalue it. I'm going to sign it just over here. Listen, folks, do please remember to check out the offers that we've got running in the background. If you've enjoyed that painting and you think, you know, I can do that, I want to have a go at it, or maybe you want to have a go at animals in general, then you need this. You need this because this is the book where it's all about animals. This book, basically, it's for the beginner, but it's full of beautiful step-by-step paintings, and it's such a great thing. So I hope you have enjoyed that, folks. It's been lovely. Remember, you can use code Matthew25 in capital letters, Matthew25, Matthew25, and very simply, you can get yourself 25% off not only this book, it's that way, but all my books, all the books. That includes the Watercolour Companion. There it is. That includes the Ready to Paint Animals in 30 Minutes. That includes one of my favourites, Watercolour Mountains. Watercolour Landscapes, if that's your thing, for the absolute beginner. They're all got 25% off, and this is the new one. This one is the first edition, so do jump on it, get a copy. You've got to buy it through Search Press to get that. You can buy them through Watercolour TV, but you won't get the discount. So it's just a way to keep you interested. But listen, thank you for watching it. Let's put it back on screen just for a minute. There it is. Let's look at the detail. Now, yeah, I mean, what a difference that white made. Look at it. Big difference, right? Big difference. The detail is there, isn't it? Thank you for watching.